The Union Carriage and Wagon UCW facility, located in Nigel, established in the 50s, has executed a number of export orders over time for several Asian and Southern African countries. Whilst this facility has had many owners over time, in April 2016, Alstom Ubunye was established through the acquisition of a 51% stake by Alstom. The primary objective for developing Alstom Ubunye at the time was to support the rejuvenation of the South African railway industry by establishing a state-of-the-art manufacturing and engineering platform in South Africa that would be able to deliver Alstom technology to the subcontinent. It is important to note that whilst the facility has 80,000 square meters under roof, the site itself is over 450,000 square meters. During the first factory tour in 2016, one could see the potential that the site had to be transformed into a world-class facility. Aside from the opportunities the continent has to offer, the more pressing need is meeting the stringent localization requirements for the single biggest rolling stock renewal program in the world. This being the 600 Extropolis train sets, which equates to 3,600 coaches, being built for PRASA by the Alstom-led Gabela joint venture in South Africa. With a minimum threshold of 65% local content, Alstom had to establish a robust but sustainable supply chain for locally manufactured parts and components. Over the last 3 years, Alstom Ubunye has undergone a massive modernization program, specifically in the last year and a half, which has totally transformed the facility, placing it on par with any of the global European sites. This includes new equipment, overhead cranes, investment in robotics, as well as advanced processes to ensure a productive and safe working environment, in addition to the investment made in their people through skills transfer and development. Logan Naiker, COO for Alstom Ubunye, takes us through their journey.
If you think back to the time when the company was called UCW, Union Carriage and Wagon. So the company was established in 1957 and built its first electric locomotive in 1964. Through various stages of ownership, has been significant in its contribution, especially most recently up to 2012, 2013, it was supporting Transnet for the 19E and 15E locomotives, as well as, of course, the Gautrain assembly. It's 80,000 square meters under roof. We are using more or less under 40,000 squares only for this project, which means that Alstom Ubunye would have sufficient capacity to take on additional projects. Apart from the facility size or the under roof, which is 80,000 squares, the total site square meterage is about 450,000 squares. So there is flexibility to be able to adapt the site to the needs. We have around about 580 employees. Alstom acquired the site in 2016 as part of their JV with some local partners. The PRASA contract that Gabela was awarded, Alstom Ubunye are going to be making the components. So in line with ensuring that the facility would be set to world-class standards, we needed to embark on a site refurbishment activity which has taken approximately 1.5 years to complete. In support of the Gabela contract, we are making practically 25% of the components that go into the trains. And these are, to some extent, quite large components. So we had to redesign the facility in order to cater for the manufacturing, testing, and setup of that equipment. So it required us to go into some significant detail. We've set up robot technology, we've set up multiple world-class equipment in order to manufacture and calibrate the equipment that we will be supplying to Gabela. The program was quite extensive. Again, like I said, it took 1.5 years to set up the site, and a considerable amount of investment had gone into setting this up. As a large OEM, Alstom has sites practically all over the world. We had multiple donor sites, which are sub-sister sites around the world, supplying transfer of technology and their expertise to Alstom Ubunye in order to be able to build the multiple equipment that we needed to support the contract. From a site perspective, we are ISO 9001:2015 certified. From a manufacturing perspective and a customer requirement perspective, we are also required to be EN 15085 certified. This talks to the welding operation that we have to conduct. We have recently achieved that certification. We also have the ISO 3834 certification in conjunction with the EN 15085. So, of course, from a delivery perspective, with that certification, you get the relevant acknowledgement of your ability to be able to deliver to the requirements of the customer. That's the first thing. Now, a certification like this is not so common and not so easily attainable. And in South Africa, we're one of the few sites that have got the certification. So it is a big credit to the site. We take EHS very seriously. We have a very structured approach to EHS, and we have a philosophy that is underpinned by AZDP, Alstom Zero Deviation Policy. And there's a governance around that, and there's a certain list of requirements that each site needs to comply with. All sites are audited on a regular basis. With this being a brand new site, when Alstom did the initial AZDP audit, the results were not so favorable. And the site was not seen as compliant to our requirements, Alstom's requirements, in terms of being able to be a manufacturing site. So we've had a series of interventions since 2016. We've aligned and set up a team locally. We've had a massive improvement from what was an unacceptable level to what is very much an acceptable level and in line with our global targets. For the site, there's a combination of imported material versus local material. The KPI for Gibela is to achieve a 65% local content, and Alstom Ubunye is very much in line with supporting Gibela on their initiative. The components we build are the bogies, which means we manufacture the bogie frame, we assemble the bogie, test the bogie, and supply the bogie to Gibela. We also make various boxes, electrical boxes, that being the traction converter boxes, the LV cubicle, which is the low voltage cubicle, the high voltage cubicles. We make the PASIS. PASIS is the Passenger Communication Information System. All in all, we build 87 various types of equipment, or 87 components, plus the PASIS, which comes in 54 kits for a train set. A train set is made up of four motor coaches and 2 trailer coaches, so 6 cars in a train set. Robot technology was significant, so as part of our key requirements, we have some parts of the bogie frame that's actually welded by robot. You will see that we have 2 robots in place in order to support that application. It is to the latest standard, global world-class technology. We also have milling machines that are significant in the process of the frames that we manufacture. We also have 3D dimensioning and measurement to ensure that our frames meet absolutely the specification required for the customer. So that are the most notable pieces of equipment that had to be in place in order to consistently reproduce the quality required for the customer. We are well underway with our ramp-up program. We will be producing over 60 train sets per year, which is 5 train sets per month. In line with our requirements, there's always a fine balance between how much of investment needs to be made versus how to maximize the number of shift operations that we can have. In July, we embarked on a 3-shift program. Not all parts of our plant at this stage will be in our 3-shift program. Some are on single, some are on double, and a few areas will be on triple shift. Alstom has made a significant investment into Alstom Ubunye, which can be quite a flexible manufacturing facility and adaptable in that it could support multiple transport and mobility solutions for South Africa, Africa and beyond. The significant investment has helped to position Alstom Ubunye for future projects. For example, you've got the possible upcoming Gautrain project and a few other rail projects. There are also some potential opportunities sitting in the rest of Africa, potentials that could be gateways for Alstom through Alstom Ubunye. We've been set up, the site, Alstom Ubunye site, has been set up to offer a full range of solutions in line with the mobility requirements. And it's not necessarily rail only. We could also look into the future of electric buses and other mobility solutions. So the opportunities could be endless. It's probably the perfect first step into the rest of Africa with these opportunities. We know that we will not achieve any of the success we have without our people, motivated, aligned, trained, skilled people. Alstom, when we acquired the Alstom Ubunye site, we brought with it a legacy. The UCW facility and CTE facility prior to this has been a long-standing facility in the history of South African rail. And we have a strong connection to the local communities. From the local Ekurhuleni zones, more than 80% of our people are from those zones that are employed at Alstom Ubunye. From the local area, meaning the Donota, Duduza, Nigel and Alra Park area, we have about 51% of our people from these areas. So we take the local communities very seriously in our consideration in terms of job opportunities and business development, as well as CSRI activities. So it is a big part of what we do. In terms of our recruitment, not only we had to take on the existing employees that were at Alstom Ubunye, we also had to recruit and freshen up the workforce, and we've taken a lot of youth into our company. And we've had to go through an aggressive training program to get the team ready for the new requirements. The new requirements are tough, and it required us to go through various training and assessment of our people. In line with this, we've developed a welding school, and we are now in the process of accrediting this welding school. Why do we want to accredit it? Well, firstly, we needed to train our own people, and secondly, upon accreditation, what we want to do is be able to open the doors to the communities, train, tag and release people that and position them for future opportunities. In terms of meeting the communities, there's been a lot of frustration in this zone of Gauteng in that job opportunities are not so readily available. So companies like Alstom are really under pressure to be able to provide as much as we can in terms of those opportunities. So we meet on a monthly basis with the community leaders, and we discuss with them what are the opportunities that are coming and how we can further bridge the gap and assist in the way we can. Of course, we can only do what we can, and I think it's appreciated. Alstom's contribution is appreciated from that perspective. We also do quite a bit from a CSI perspective for the communities. We have a CPNL Wisishle Welding School. It was part of a sponsorship that was taken up by Alstom Foundation. We've supported significantly over the last years this welding school. We've also taken on a new project since last year, which was the Chance Orphanage in Donota. And we've decided to make that our 3-year project where we've supported them with developing their entertainment area. We've now recently launched a computer room for them, and we plan various other initiatives with them. These activities and initiatives are really well received by the communities and as well the schools itself. And we'll continue to do that. We take our social responsibility seriously, and we believe that it is part of what we have to do when we are in a local community. We are in a business that is project-based. So, unlike the automotive industry where you are really in a completely different manufacturing phase, producing for a market, these types of contracts that Alstom engage with really come along not so often. I mean, if you look at this contract is the single largest rail contract globally, not just for Alstom, just globally. How many more of these would come along? Not many. Now, beyond the 600 train sets for PRASA, there could be a further order of another 600 trains. It's an option. Again, with it being project-based, you have to design your requirements around that. What you have to make sure is that South Africa has a pipeline of talent and skills to support that, which is why the first step Alstom's made is around the welding school. It's not where we will stop, it's where we've started. We have to have a dual focus, not only what would happen in the future, but based on what our changing customer needs will be. What we produce today certainly may not be what would be needed in the coming years. It could be completely a change towards the electrical powered vehicles, and that is the global shift. You have to be aware that in Africa, a lot of Africa rail is not electrified. How would we cater for that? Could hydrogen come into play? Where do we position ourselves to tackle the next growth market, which is Africa?
The Alstom Ubunye facility will be manufacturing 87 components, as well as the Passenger Information and Communication System, PACES, for the Kabela contract. During the tour of the Alstom Ubunye facility, we could truly see the transformation from 2016 and the significant investment that has been made in equipment in action. Lean manufacturing management techniques have been implemented to optimize the manufacturing process and increase productivity, ensuring that each process cannot cause a bottleneck. With stringent quality control every step of the way and the latest ultrasonic testing equipment to ensure that the final product meets the specifications as set by the customer. We start our factory tour in Workshop 5, the end underframe and anti-intrusion box fabrication facility.
My name is Sikani Chauke. I'm the line manager for Shop 5. And then this whole building that you see here is what we call Shop 5. We're producing 2 components, end underframes and anti-intrusion boxes. And then under me, I've got 3 EPU managers that are running on a 3-shift pattern. And in terms of manning for the line, we have up to 66 people. And these people are distributed over 3-shift pattern. And then in terms of the output that we're giving for this line, so we're making 1.5 underframe per day and 2 anti-intrusion boxes every 2 days. And that is sufficient for us to be able to commit to the customer's requirements.
Workshop 7 is the bogie frame department.
I'm Charles Mputi. I'm production line manager at Bogie Frame. I'm going to take you through where our process starts. Our process starts at box assemblies. We've got 2 box assemblies. We've got side beam box assembly. At a frame box assembly, this is where we are starting the side beam from scratch. This is the cross beam box assembly station. The setup is more or less the same as into the side beam box assembly station. Now, the operator will make sure that all areas that are tack welded at the frame welding station, at the frame assembly station, they are welded here. Now, we will actually be doing the entire weld to completion. Once the frame is welded to completion, we are going to clean it. Once it is clean, we are going to submit it again for your quality control. In quality control, we are doing VT. We are also doing your ultrasonic test. All that is NDT, non-destructive test by quality.
Workshop number 17 is the looming department.
My name is Minara Magidimisa. I'm the industrial director for the electrical scope. This is one of my workshops. So when it comes to the section here in terms of the foam boards, I think what's important to explain is there's basically in this whole area, there's 3 different sections that we're working on. There's the area where you're seeing the long tables, which are 22 meters. These are what we call rolling stock looms. This goes into the train in Gibela. It's fitted in the fitting line in Gibela. Afterwards, on the other side, right after that, you'll see the smaller tables, which I'll show you now. And there we do what we call internal looms. These are the looms that we make for some of the internal shops. So it could be traction, which you will see later, and also for the bogie shop, which you will see later as well. So some of the products have a lot of connections. As I was saying, one of our highest, the biggest products has 3,000 connections. So you can see if you were to test it manually, it's almost impossible to figure out if there's any problem. That's why it's important that we use automatic testing. So this concept, of course, we're trying to roll it out for everything, is that I consider that this workshop makes the nerves of the train, because all the cables that connects up all the equipment in the train comes from this workshop. And it also, we make the cubicles that are here that are responsible for the control of the train. So I consider that we also make the brain of the train, because the control of the train really, all the control equipment is hosted in the equipment we make here. So I consider that we make the nerves and the brain really of the train.
Workshop 67, bogie fitting.
My name is Viren Katigan. I'm the bogie line manager for the bogie fitting department. In a summary, what we do here is we assemble the bogies and we build the subcomponents. When I say subcomponents, it's the actual components that go into the bogie. For example, the dampers, the motors, the wheel pressing, and a lot of other auxiliary equipment that goes onto the bogie.
Workshop 65, Traction and Paces.
Hi, my name is Mfanzile Shabalala. I'm the line manager in Traction and Paces business. Welcome to our business. Our business has got 4 products that we are manufacturing. We've got BT desk, we've got traction converter, we've got HV box, and also we've got traction converter. The main line assembly, we've got traction converter, which comes into 2 parts. We have one section of it which is high voltage, and then we've got the other section which is low voltage. So in this section, we assemble both the high voltage and the LV. So once we have assembled them, we do inspect before the integration of the box. So 2 sections are now integrated into one piece. This is now a full TC with 2 parts being combined into one. And then from here, we start the integration of the LV loom.
As Zabanisha Turkey, in charge of corporate social investment and corporate social responsibility at Alstom Ubunye, says, it's not just about meeting the requirements of the customer and the shareholders. Alstom Ubunye also has to invest and be involved in the community in which they operate.
CSR is Alstom's global initiative where we try to engage our employees to follow the strategy within Alstom. So we look at things like Wellness Day, in diversity, sustainable mobility, and we get our employees involved in this, which is done globally. So across all our sites, we all work on the same initiative. Whereas CSI is Alstom Ubunye's own initiatives. Once we came in 2016, we obviously felt we need to do more in our community. It's not just about making the profits, but also about putting back into the community. And so we go out and we look at our community and where there's gaps that we can help, especially in terms of education, in orphanages, and projects of that sort. One of the very exciting ones for us is the Chance Project. That's an orphanage that houses at any given time between 77 and 100 orphans coming from homes where they have been physically abused, affected by AIDS, or parents that are on drugs and can't take care of them anymore. We as Alstom Ubunye have pledged that for the next 3 years we will engage on particular projects as we see the need to help them meet their fulfillments within the orphanage itself. So some of the projects that we have done there would be Middle East Africa came through. We had our senior members of employment staff go through and paint the jungle gym. We redid the entire whole entertainment area, provided them with a nice TV, nice relaxing mats, so that after they're done with the day at school, they have somewhere to go and relax. And this year, we saw the need for them to get more in touch with IT. The world is evolving, and these children don't get exposed enough to those, to computers and technology. We redid the entire whole room for them. We painted it. We helped them with their library. We gave them 10 computers. Nashua came on board and donated a printer for these children. And through this engagement, we now have volunteers who come through in the afternoons. The Alstom Foundation, also very exciting. We were fortunate enough to win twice in South Africa. The one project is being done currently and is still in progress in Duduza. What we found is there was a need for us to go into the school and help them bring in a technical curriculum of welding. So through the NGO and the Alstom Foundation, we approached the school and we revamped an entire classroom for them. We got the Department of Education involved, and we started to put in the equipment that they needed. We're hoping that by doing this, the students will go through grade 8, grade 9 and matric, have some sort of technical qualification, and Alstom has then committed for those students who meet the qualifications to come on site and to our own welding school, and then we engage them back into our own environment. By putting in this, implementing the school, we will be taking the students out of the community, employing people from within this community, putting them in a situation where they not only will then be able to come work at Alstom or other companies, because they will now be qualified enough to themselves say, look, Alstom's not big enough for me, I can go out, but also go Alstom Global. They have opportunities to go throughout Alstom globally and look at any opportunities. And that's what we are about improving people, about taking these children who actually come from such impoverished homes, communities, and giving them that experience. The other Alstom Foundation project, which we were awarded last year as well, targets 2 primary schools, also in the area in Nigel, called Elra Park and Happiness. These children come from homes where they either do not have parents, or they live in with their grandparents, or the elder siblings are taking care of them completely. A lot of them, and it is the unfortunate state in our country, a lot of them come to school hungry. They go home and they don't have anyone to see to them, to help them with their homework, and it's just a vicious cycle. What this project does is they have volunteers that come after hours and sit with the students. They help them with their homework, and then they engage with these children on important topics that are now vital, I think, in any child's life, especially in South Africa. One of which we spoke about during one of our visits was human trafficking. The children were then alerted to that this is what could happen to you. When it does happen, how do you react? If you find yourself in a strange country, how do you react? How do you keep yourself safe? How do you try and get yourself out of that situation? These are vital skills that not all children are given at any time. The children are also then given food, taken out to get some exercise. So the volunteers play with them, netball, soccer. It's just basically giving them that nurturing that when they go back home, they obviously don't have.
The investment in people, the investment in the facility, places Alstom Ubunye as a hub of excellence, not only for South Africa, but for the rest of the continent. This is without doubt a world-class manufacturing site, well positioned to meet the transport and mobility needs of the region.
Today I'm pleased to officially launch the inauguration of the new Alstom Ubunye site. Alstom Ubunye was created in 2016 when Alstom decided to invest in a company. Alstom is the majority shareholder of the company and team up with 2 local companies, IDC and CTE. And since then, since 2016, the company has launched a massive transformation modernization program for the factory to address the need for the South African market and other markets. So this massive transformation program is based on transfer of technology. It's unique, it's massive. We have many donor sites that came from all over the world to transfer the technology to South Africa, to bring new technology to the country. We brought new processes, we brought new machines, new equipment, and new skills as well. So our facility is based in Nigel, in Ekurhuleni. It's a huge site. We have 80,000 square meters. 80,000 square meters that have been modernized. This facility brings latest technology, but to operate new technology, we need as well people to do so. So we have a team of 565 employees. We have young people, we have women, we have people from the communities. A few words to illustrate that. 25% of our employees are women, and we are growing up. We want more women in our company. Young people, 50% of our employees are 40 or less. We are even more and more, every day more and more young people on board. They are the future of the company. We train them, we bring new skills. That will be our legacy. We are a local company. If you look at Alstom Ubunye now, more than 80% of our employees come from Ekurhuleni. And just to give an example, more than 200 employees from Duduza. So we are a local company. We have a long-term vision for Alstom Ubunye. We want to be a world-class manufacturer of sustainable mobility solution for Africa, beyond Africa, by Africa. This facility will be a hub of excellence not only for South Africa but also for the rest of the continent. It's a center of excellence, it's a world-class manufacturing site. Alstom Ubunye is ready to support the future transport needs of South Africa and other African countries. And this we'll do it as a team. I have full trust in Alstom family to deliver this commitment. I'm very happy to inaugurate today the new Alstom Ubunye facility.